There comes a moment in life when you realize that no one is coming to save you. No one is going to fight your battles, chase your dreams, or carry you to your destiny. You can spend years waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect person, or the perfect timing, but deep down you know, time is passing whether you act or not. And the truth is, the longer you wait for someone else to fix your life, the further you drift from the life you were meant to live. Your dreams are not waiting. Your goals are not on pause. Your potential is not infinite. It is a resource that withers when ignored. That's why you must focus on yourself like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. You see, the people who rise above, the ones who transform their lives, have one thing in common. They take radical responsibility for themselves. They don't wait for a rescue. They become their own rescue. Most people spend years of their lives waiting for someone to come along and pull them out of the situations they hate, waiting for the right person, the right break, the right sign from the universe that will make everything easier. But the reality is brutal. No one is coming. Not your family, not your friends, not your boss, not the person you're in a relationship with. No one can or will do the inner work for you. Even if someone loves you deeply, they can't climb into your mind and replace your habits. They can't give you discipline. They can't change the choices you make every day. This is the hard truth many people spend their entire lives avoiding, because accepting it means looking in the mirror and realizing the only person you can count on to change your life is the one staring back at you. It's easy to hope that someone will open a door for you, but it's rare to accept that you may have to build the door yourself, that you may even have to carve the path to where the door will stand. Waiting for rescue keeps you stuck in a passive state, letting days slip by while you live in a fantasy where help is on the way. But if you strip that illusion away, you're left with the power and the burden of knowing it's all in your hands. That realization can be terrifying because it means if you don't act, nothing changes. You can't outsource your transformation. You can't delegate your dreams. People can support you, inspire you, and even guide you, but they cannot take the steps for you. It's like being in the middle of the ocean. Someone can shout instructions from a boat, but if you want to survive, you have to move your own arms and kick your own legs. And the longer you stay still, the harder it becomes to keep your head above water. This is why taking responsibility for your own life is so urgent. You cannot afford to wait until you feel ready, because readiness never comes. You have to act before you feel prepared, before you know all the answers, before you're sure of the outcome. Every great transformation in history started with someone deciding they would no longer wait for permission. It's not about having perfect conditions. It's about having the courage to take the first step, even when conditions are against you. Think about every time you've moved forward in life. It happened when you stopped leaning on someone else to lead the way and decided to move yourself. And each time you do that, you build strength. You prove to yourself that you are capable. The more you rely on yourself, the more resilient you become, because you learn that your progress is not tied to anyone else's mood, schedule, or approval. You are free from waiting for validation. You are free from hoping someone sees your potential and gives you a chance. You become your own chance. The people who change their lives in extraordinary ways are not the ones who had endless help. They are the ones who faced the truth that no one was going to hand them the life they wanted, and they refused to settle. When you truly understand that no one is coming to save you, you stop blaming, stop complaining, and start building. You stop wasting energy on wishing and start investing it into doing. You realize that your life is your responsibility entirely, and that power can either scare you into paralysis or ignite you into relentless action. Your focus is the most valuable currency you have, because where your focus goes, your life follows. Every thought you choose to entertain, every task you choose to give your time to, every conversation you engage in is an investment into the direction your life is heading. Most people don't lose their potential all at once. They lose it slowly, piece by piece, every time they allow distractions to steal their attention. Every time you pour your energy into gossip, pointless arguments, mindless scrolling, or worrying about things you can't control, you're handing away parts of your future that you will never get back. Energy is not infinite, and when you waste it on things that drain you, you have less left for the things that could actually change your life. This is why you must treat your focus like a fortress, guarding it from anything or anyone that tries to sneak in and sabotage your growth. There will always be people, situations, and temptations fighting for your attention. Some will come disguised as opportunities, others as emergencies, and many as simple, harmless fun. But the cost of distraction is always higher than it looks in the moment. Every hour you give to something meaningless is an hour stolen from something meaningful. The problem is that most people don't realize the theft until it's too late, until they look back and wonder why years have passed and they're still in the same place. Protecting your focus and energy requires you to become intentional about what gets your attention and what doesn't. It means learning the power of saying no, even when it's uncomfortable. It means recognizing that not every invitation is worth accepting, not every message is worth replying to, not every situation is worth getting involved in. Your peace and progress depend on your ability to filter out noise. This doesn't mean shutting the world out. It means knowing which parts of the world deserve access to you. Every person you allow into your life has the power to either multiply your energy or drain it. Every environment you place yourself in will either fuel your focus or scatter it. You have to choose wisely because the wrong people and places will keep you locked in cycles of distraction. The truth is, you can't focus deeply on yourself if your attention is scattered in 100 different directions. Great achievements require great concentration, and great concentration requires boundaries. The higher your goals, the tighter your boundaries must be. You can't expect to live a focused life if you're constantly feeding on mental junk food, just like you can't expect to be physically healthy while eating trash all day. Your mind needs space to breathe, to think, to plan, to create, and it can't do that when it's constantly bombarded by the noise of everything around you. Protecting your focus is also about protecting your energy physically. If your body is exhausted, your mind will follow. Poor sleep, bad diet, and lack of exercise will rob you of the energy you need to pursue what matters. You can't expect to show up fully for your dreams if you're running on fumes. Every choice you make about where you spend your time, who you give your attention to, and how you treat your body is either protecting or depleting your focus. The more you guard it, the stronger it becomes, and the more progress you make. When you value your focus like gold, you stop giving it away cheaply, and you begin to build a life that reflects the power of intentional attention. There's a common misconception that focusing on yourself means you're selfish, that if you put your growth, peace, and health first, you're neglecting the needs of others. This belief keeps countless people trapped in patterns of over-giving, overcommitting, and overextending themselves until they're so drained they have nothing left to give. The truth is, focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's survival. If you burn yourself out trying to please everyone, you end up helping no one, not even yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, and yet so many people live as if they can, sacrificing their own well-being in the name of being good to others. The problem with that is simple. When you're exhausted, unfulfilled, and constantly putting yourself last, you're operating at a fraction of your true potential. Your best self, the version of you capable of making the greatest impact, can only exist when you are well, when you are growing, and when you have the energy to show up fully. Choosing to prioritize yourself means you're strengthening the foundation upon which everything else in your life rests. When your health is strong, your mind is clear, and your spirit is fulfilled, you can give more, do more, and be more for the people and causes that matter to you. Self-focus is not about ignoring the needs of others. It's about making sure you're in a position to meet those needs without destroying yourself in the process. It's about saying, I matter too, and understanding that taking time to rest, to grow, and to nurture your own goals is not a luxury. It's a necessity. The people who guilt you for focusing on yourself often benefit from your lack of boundaries. They're used to you saying yes, to you showing up for them, to you putting their needs ahead of your own. When you shift your focus inward, those people may resist because it means they can no longer rely on your endless availability. But that's not your problem to fix. You are not responsible for carrying the weight of everyone else's life while neglecting your own. Your responsibility is to take care of yourself so you can live the life you were meant to live. And here's the beautiful irony. When you do that, you actually become more capable of helping others because you're no longer operating from a place of exhaustion and resentment. You're helping from a place of abundance, of strength, of clarity. It's the difference between giving someone water from a full well versus handing them a few drops from a nearly dry one. People can sense the difference, and so can you. The guilt that sometimes comes with focusing on yourself fades when you realize it's the most sustainable way to contribute to the world. You cannot be at your best for your family, your friends, or your work if you are constantly running on empty. You need time for reflection, for growth, for self-care, for learning, for healing. These are not selfish acts. They are acts of preparation. They are the quiet, unseen work that ensures when life calls on you, you can answer with strength. When you treat your own well, being as a priority, you stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop justifying your boundaries. You understand that your energy is precious and that spending it wisely is the most responsible thing you can do. In a world that constantly demands your attention, choosing to focus on yourself is an act of courage and wisdom, because it's the choice that ensures you have the strength to keep moving forward no matter what life throws at you. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, but most people never cross it because they choose distraction instead. Distractions are comfortable, easy, and instantly rewarding, but they come at the cost of your long-term success. Discipline is uncomfortable, often boring, and requires sacrifice, but it delivers the kind of results that distractions never will. The problem is that the human brain craves instant gratification. It wants the quick hit of pleasure rather than the slow climb toward fulfillment. This is why so many people give up on their goals after the excitement wears off. They mistake motivation for discipline, not realizing that motivation is fleeting, but discipline is a decision. You can't rely on feeling inspired every day. You have to train yourself to act whether you feel like it or not. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck, the willingness to keep going in the absence of excitement. Discipline means doing the work, when no one is watching, when there's no applause, and when the results aren't showing yet. It means choosing the long-term reward over the short-term pleasure, even when every part of you wants to take the easier path. Distractions will always try to pull you away from the work: social media, television, procrastination, unimportant tasks that feel urgent. If you don't actively protect yourself against them, they will slowly eat away at your time and energy until you've lost days, weeks, even years to things that don't matter. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're voting against your own future. But every time you choose discipline, even in small ways, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Discipline is also about consistency, not perfection. You don't need to win every single day, but you do need to show up more often than you disappear. Progress compounds over time, and every disciplined action you take adds another brick to the foundation of your success. Skipping one day of work might feel harmless, but skipping one day often turns into skipping two, then three, until you've lost all momentum. This is why discipline is as much about momentum as it is about effort. It's easier to keep moving than it is to start again after stopping. The truth is, discipline will feel like a burden at first because you're breaking old habits and building new ones. Your mind will resist it. You'll tell yourself you can start tomorrow or that you've worked hard enough for today. But that's the very moment when you have to push through, because discipline only strengthens when you choose it over comfort. Eventually, what once felt like a sacrifice will become your new normal. You'll find pride in sticking to your word, in keeping promises to yourself, in knowing you can rely on your own commitment. Distraction might give you a moment of relief, but discipline gives you a lifetime of pride. The people who reach their goals are not the ones who had the easiest path or the most talent. They are the ones who refused to let distraction win. They understood that while motivation can start the journey, only discipline can finish it. And the more you train yourself to follow through, the less power distraction will have over you, because you'll have built the strength to choose what matters most, no matter how tempting the alternative may be. Your path is yours alone, and the moment you truly accept that, you free yourself from one of the biggest traps in life: comparison. It's easy to look at someone else's success and feel like you're behind, to see their achievements and assume you're doing something wrong because you're not where they are. But what you don't see is the full story of their journey, the struggles, sacrifices, and setbacks that happen behind the scenes. You're comparing your behind the scenes footage to someone else's highlight reel, and that's never a fair measurement. Every person is walking a different road with different challenges, opportunities, and timelines. Just because someone reached a milestone sooner than you doesn't mean you've failed. It means they're on a different schedule. The danger of comparison is that it distracts you from your own progress. When you're busy measuring your worth against someone else's achievements, you're not focusing on the steps you need to take to move forward. It's like driving while staring into someone else's lane. You'll eventually crash because you're not watching where you're going. Your energy is too valuable to waste on envy or self-doubt. You need that energy to walk your own path, to build the skills, habits, and mindset that your journey requires. The truth is, no two people's paths are identical. Some people start with more resources, others with more obstacles, and those differences shape the pace and direction of their progress. Trying to match someone else's journey is like wearing shoes that don't fit. You'll only hurt yourself in the process. Real growth comes from focusing on your own lane, from measuring today's version of you against yesterday's version of you. That's the only comparison that matters. Are you further along than you were before? Are you making choices that align with the person you want to become? The moment you stop chasing someone else's timeline and start embracing your own, you begin to move with a different kind of confidence. You stop feeling the need to rush just because others are moving faster. You stop feeling discouraged when their path takes them to a place you haven't reached yet. Instead, you begin to trust the pace of your own journey, knowing that what's meant for you will come in its own time. You also stop undervaluing your progress just because it doesn't look like someone else's. A small step forward in your journey could be a giant leap compared to where you started, and that deserves recognition. You have to learn to celebrate your wins, no matter how small, without feeling like they're less valuable than someone else's bigger ones. Comparison robs you of joy, but focus gives you strength. When you direct all your energy toward your own path, you move faster, you think clearer, and you build momentum that's impossible to sustain if you're constantly distracted by what others are doing. The truth is, some of the most successful people in the world didn't follow the traditional timeline. They didn't make it at the same age as their peers, and they didn't measure their worth by how quickly they achieved a goal. They focused on mastery, on building themselves, and on trusting that their time would come. And it did, not because they were watching others, but because they were fully invested in their own race. Your path may twist, slow down, or take you places you never expected, but it's still yours. The moment you own that truth and stop comparing, you give yourself the freedom to walk it with clarity, peace, and purpose. The life you want is built in the present, not in the distant future, and yet so many people keep pushing their dreams onto a tomorrow that never comes. They convince themselves they'll start when they feel ready, when the timing is perfect, when they have more money, more knowledge, or more confidence. But waiting is a silent thief. Every day you delay action, you reinforce the habit of postponing your own life. You teach yourself to settle for less than you deserve, and before you realize it, months or even years have passed without any real progress. The truth is, the perfect time doesn't exist. Conditions will never be flawless, and opportunities rarely come wrapped in clarity and certainty. The people who succeed aren't the ones who waited until all the lights turned green before leaving their driveway. They're the ones who started moving and figured things out along the way. Action is what creates momentum, and momentum is what creates opportunities. If you wait for motivation before you act, you'll be stuck in an endless loop because motivation comes after action, not before it. The moment you take even the smallest step toward your goals, you signal to yourself and to the world that you are serious, and that seriousness begins to open doors. Many people let fear of failure paralyze them into inaction, but what they fail to see is that not acting is also a form of failure. It's failing by default. You can recover from a mistake, you can learn from a setback, but you can't learn anything from doing nothing. The only way to figure out what works is to try, and the only way to try is to start now. Every single day is a deposit into your future. You either invest it into actions that move you closer to where you want to be, or you spend it on distractions that keep you stuck exactly where you are. The people who seem lucky are often the ones who took consistent action long before their big break arrived. They built skills, connections, and resilience while others were still hesitating. When the opportunity came, they were ready. Not because they waited for it, but because they worked toward it. You can't control the exact outcome of your actions, but you can control the effort you put in today. The more intentional you are with your time right now, the more control you'll have over your future. And the reality is, you don't know how much time you have. None of us are promised tomorrow, which means the only guarantee you have is today. What you choose to do with it will determine the quality of your life months and years from now. Taking action now also builds confidence. Every completed task, every step forward, no matter how small, proves to yourself that you are capable. That self-belief compounds, making it easier to take the next step and then the next. But if you keep telling yourself later, you reinforce self-doubt because deep down you know you're breaking promises to yourself. Waiting is comfortable because it demands nothing from you in the moment, but it's also costly because it robs you of progress, growth, and momentum. Acting now requires courage, but courage grows with use. The sooner you begin, the sooner you put time on your side instead of against you, and the sooner you start shaping a life that reflects your true potential rather than the one you settled for out of hesitation.